The purpose of this video is to give you a quick introduction to part 2. So if we look at the instructions for part 2, there's 4 things to do. Prepare the additional data needed for ratio computations. B, compute financial ratios in the DuPont analysis. Z, obtain industry average information and prepare the industry ratios. And D, prepare financial ratios in the ratio output sheet for your industry. So, which is really the way this looks, it really looks like it's the same as C. Okay, so let's start off with part A. Prepare the additional data needed for ratio computations. Review the ratio formulas in order to identify financial statement information that's not already included in the condensed financial statements. Now, I have to tell you there is a typo here in the spreadsheet that you received, because return on assets, return on equity, these should all be divided by total assets or stockholders' equity at the end of the year, not the average. So your spreadsheet template that you received may say average on it. That's not what you do. You use the ending amount as we learned in class. It's going to be the same thing for accounts receivable turnover, inventory turnover, and asset turnover, and also the same thing for financial leverage. So now, which items do we not already have on our input page? One item we don't have on our input page is accounts receivable. If you look at the input page, there is no accounts receivable. So we go here and there's no accounts receivable. So I'm going to enter it as additional data. Accounts receivable. And then look on the company's financial statements and enter whatever the number is. Let's say it's 13,500. And enter whatever it is. Next, we go and see if there's some accounts receivable and enter it for the prior year, current year and prior year. You're going to need 2 years in order to do this. And then go back to formula info and see if there is anything else. I'll give you a hint. There is one other thing that you're going to need. And that's going to do the same for that. So that's going to be part A. Part B is to compute the financial ratios in the DuPont analysis. So what we do is we go financial ratios. We're going to compute them right over here. And for example, return on sales would be equal to, as the formula says, let's just look at the formula again. Return on sales is net income divided by revenue. So here, for my return on sales, I'll go back to my input page to get net income. And this is just a little spreadsheet that I kind of play with. Net income divided by net sales revenue, 6121. 671 divided by 6121 equals 11%. And you want to format that probably with 1 decimal point is good. 11.0% like I have there. So for the prior year, that would be a similar formula. And we're doing this entirely referencing the formulas and not, figuring them out on a calculator. You want to use good Excel form to do this assignment. And you're going to do this for the 2 most recent fiscal years. It says, remember to use average amounts in the denominator. We're not doing that. So ignore this. Cross it out. And let's say that this here is, just for argument's sake, 6%. So then in your change column, write that it's stronger. And each of the items in the change column, you want to write whether it's an improvement, whether it's better or worse. We have different terms for some of them. Stronger and weaker, I think, is in most of them, though. And here, this is not quicker and slower. So fill out the change column here also. And always use formulas and references. Do not type the numbers in. Next is the DuPont analysis. So DuPont analysis, you're just going to take return on sales from here. You're going to take asset turnover, which should be here. even though I haven't done it yet. And that should be equal to return on assets, which is also happens to be here. So 1 times 1 is the other, using that identity that we've looked at. Same thing with financial leverage, which you saw in chapter 4. So financial leverage would be return on assets times financial leverage should give you return on equity. So reference all the numbers here. If they don't equal, that means that there's some kind of mathematical problem, some kind of problem with your formulas, and you want to try to figure out what that is. Next, industry average information. In the name or symbols box, enter your company's industry. But first go to this website, msn.com/money. And here I have it. And let's say I'm going to use the company Starbucks. So enter Starbucks, and here you're going to get a full website showing lots of information about Starbucks. Enter your company stock symbol, as I did, SBUCks, and go to fundamentals and then key ratios. Now they move things around, so I'm going to first go to financials. I go to analysis, and here I can see key ratios. Now, it's a little trick. It's possible if you blow this up higher, real large, in your browser, it might not show you as many ratios. See here? So if I blow this up 125%, I only get 5 ratios. If I blow it up only 110%, I get 6 ratios, and so on. So what you want to be careful of is that you're able to see all the ratios here. It's a little tricky. And under analysis, you would have some key statistics here for the year. Shown here is return on equity. You know what that is, return on assets. In the growth area, we just have growth rates. Profitability area, I have gross margin, which is like gross profit. A net profit margin, which is like return on sales. That's another term for return on sales. Down here, under financial health, is debt equity ratio, current ratio, and this is for the company, but over here you can see it for the industry. So here's my return on sales for the industry. Net profit margin for the industry is 1502. So when I'm trying to fill this out, let's say my return on sales here, this would turn out to be, according to this, return on sales is the same as net profit margin, 15.02%. So here I write 15.02%. And it's getting formatted like that, so I'm gonna do it like that. Return on assets, let's see here. Sometimes you gotta look around a little bit for them. Now these are for the company itself. Here it is at the bottom under management effectiveness. Return on assets for the industry is 14.76%. So here I would write 14.76%. And again, I'm going to round this down a little bit so it looks nice. And each of these, you need to look for these a little bit within the website, but they shouldn't be hard to find. The one thing to be careful of is that, first of all, remember you're looking at the industry, not the company. And if your browser is zoomed in too large, then some industries may be left off, some information may be left off the website, and that may be information that you need. Certain ratios are not going to be found here. One of them is the accounts receivable turnover ratio. The other is the debt ratio. It does have, let's see here, the debt equity ratio, but that's different from the debt ratio that we do, which is liabilities divided by assets. You do have the leverage ratio here. And again, remember to you're using the industry numbers, not the company numbers. Now, the question always comes up, you may have company numbers here that are different from yours. That's because a lot of people use different formulas. The formulas that we're using in this class are not necessarily the same as the formulas that this website uses. And a different website may actually use different formulas. You can actually get different numbers from different websites for the same company, same ratio, same company. One other thing you want to do is write the name of the industry up here, enter industry name up here, restaurant industry. And this is how you would do it. And that's it. Next thing to do is upload it to Blackboard and you're done.